Welcome YouTube channel Health 24 Hours. Here are the top 5 fruits that seniors should avoid and why. And you're not going to believe number 1. It's such a common fruit that most people eat it every day. Now let's start with number 5. Number 5 is persimmons. Now there's some good things about persimmons. They're very high in vitamin C, which is great for your immune system, but they're also very high in tannic acid. Tannic acid is actually used to treat diarrhea because it causes the opposite effect. It makes you constipated. So if you have low stomach acid, which most people over 50 do, because stomach acid decreases as we age, then this can make you even more constipated. Also, what happens is that the body has a hard time breaking down this tannic acid, so it ends up creating inflammation in your digestive tract. So it can cause gastritis, it can cause heartburn, it can cause ulcers, and it can even worsen your IBS, or irritable bowel syndrome. Now, how do you know if you're having a reaction to tannic acid? Well, one thing you might notice is you might feel bloated after eating persimmons. Another sign would be constipation, or the other symptoms I just mentioned. Not all persimmons are created equal. The softer, the riper they are, the less tannic acid. However, even if they're soft and ripe, if your stomach acid is low, you'll probably have a problem with them. And just so you know, when I say low stomach acid, I'm not talking about the pH level. You can still have low stomach acid and have a pH level of 1. However, you need at least 5,000 of these particles per liter of stomach fluid. And that's not even enough for most people. The average person needs between 12 to 20,000 hydrochloric acid particles per liter of fluid. And if you don't have enough, you're going to have problems. Now, the way to fix this issue with low stomach acid is to take apple cider vinegar, 1 tablespoon before each meal, diluted in a glass of water. That will help you break down these tannins and also increase the absorption of iron from the plant-based foods you're re-eating. Alright, number 4 is grapes. I'm not talking about eating a couple of grapes a day, but eating a lot of grapes like in the form of grape juice or grape smoothie. Grapes contain something called oxalic acid. And what oxalic acid does is it binds with calcium, which can increase your risk of getting kidney stones. It can also reduce the absorption of iron and zinc, especially if you're drinking the grape juice with meals. So if you drink a cup of grape juice with a meal, it's going to reduce your absorption of iron by 40% and zinc by 25%. Now, eating a couple of grapes a day is probably not going to affect you. In fact, eating a couple of grapes a day is pretty healthy. There's nothing wrong with that, but just don't overdo it. But this goes with all the other fruits as well. Don't overdo it. Number 3 is bananas. Now again, eating 1 or 2 bananas a day is probably not going to affect most people. But it does contain a couple things that you should be aware of. One is it's very high in potassium, which is great unless you already have too much potassium. So, if you have kidney disease or liver disease, you might want to avoid bananas. Also, bananas are a bit high in sugar. I'm talking about the ripe ones. Now, what's interesting about bananas, though, is that they have a natural form of sunscreen called L-tryptophan. L-tryptophan is what the antidepressant Prozac is made from. And bananas are also a good source of vitamin B6, both of which will help you sleep. So, bananas are actually a great snack for those that are trying to sleep. If you ate a banana an hour before bed, it could help you sleep better. And this is why a lot of athletes eat a banana before bed. I mean, think about it. You exercise, you work out, you deplete your body of potassium. Potassium is a muscle relaxer. It helps you relax. And you deplete your body of vitamin B6, which is involved in many different enzymes that help you sleep. So if you're exercising and you eat a banana an hour before bed, it's going to help you sleep better. Just don't overdo it. You don't need to eat a whole bunch of bananas. 1 or 2 is probably fine. Alright, number 2 is pineapple. Now there's nothing really wrong with pineapple. A lot of people ask me about pineapple, so I figured I would mention it. The reason why I wouldn't recommend it is that it's very high in bromelain. Bromelain is an enzyme that can actually break down protein. It means it can break down the protein in your body. So if you have a situation where you need to build up protein, like you're retrying to heal, or you're recovering from surgery, or you have a wound, eating a lot of pineapple is not going to be good for you. It's also not good to eat a lot of pineapple if you have any type of inflammation in your body like arthritis. So, pineapple is okay, but just don't overdo it. But the number 1 fruit that I don't recommend that people eat, especially as they get older, is cranberry. Cranberry is extremely high in oxalates. Oxalates bind with calcium, and they can actually form crystals. Not only in your kidneys, but they can form crystals in your joints. So, if you have a tendency to get gout, or you're prone to getting kidney stones, or you have a history of them, definitely avoid cranberry. Now, if you don't have any of those issues, it's probably okay to have some cranberry juice, maybe once in a while. And there's also another little side note about cranberry. Even if you don't have kidney stones or gout or a tendency to develop these conditions, if you drink too much cranberry, you can develop something called vitamin C deficiency. How does that work? Cranberry is very, very high in vitamin C, and so if you're drinking a lot of cranberry juice, you might develop a vitamin C deficiency. This can lead to bleeding gums, it can lead to fatigue, it can lead to a weakened immune system. But there's another condition that can occur if you're eating too much cranberry. That's subclinical hypothyroidism. Hypothyroidism means that your thyroid hormone levels are slightly below normal. You might not have any symptoms, but if you do, they can include depression, weight gain, constipation, dry skin. So anything that interferes with iodine can cause this, including too much cranberry. Cranberry is high in iodine. Now, you need iodine, but there are certain individuals, especially women that get pregnant, they need a lot more iodine than the average person. Men and women that have thyroid problems need a lot more iodine. So, if you fall into that category and you're eating a lot of cranberry, you can block the absorption of iodine, leading to hypothyroidism. There's a lot of confusing messages out there on the internet. Some people say don't eat grapefruit, especially if you're on medications, and others will say, no, that's false. It's just an old wives' tale.
Oh.
Well, there is some truth to it, but it's not necessarily the grapefruit itself that creates a problem. It's the oil in the grapefruit, called delamoon. And that's actually what causes a problem with certain medications. It can decrease the effectiveness of certain medications. And the same is true about grapefruit juice. So, if you're taking medications, you might want to avoid drinking grapefruit juice. But there's absolutely nothing wrong with eating grapefruit. Eating grapefruit can be quite healthy. Just don't overdo it. For those of you that are enjoying my content, which I hope is all of you, and you're applying this knowledge to your health, and you have a success, I would really appreciate you sharing your success story. Or click the link down below where you can upload your success story so you can help inspire others.